You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. First things first, going to create a little ambiance with these Milo candles wax melts. They smell like smells like ghosts and being blasted into a fifth dimension. So what I'm going to do first is remove your cat from the box and then open the box and go at super speed. Very excited about this bit of cardboard, as you can see. Excited about the doors. Everything's here, happy, put everything back in the box because I'm careful like that. And now some wine pretending to be tea. My first step for this to get the lights on the back. I do not get peace, especially when it comes to dangly wire stuff. It's amazing I got this project finished at all, if I'm honest. Please don't be worried about me, I'm fine. The toilet paper is purely for creative purposes and not for butt purposes. Possibly creative butt purposes coming in the future. What I'm doing with the lights here is just making sure they're evenly spaced, and I've put them down where I'm happy with. And let's glue these bad boys down. I should probably buy myself a new glue gun, one that actually works properly. And then it kind of squeezes out the sides and stuff and then goes down your hand, and it's really quite unpleasant. It's not great. So my thinking for this was too obvious, even with paint over it, that it's glue. Looking back now, it would not have been obvious, and this whole bit was a massive waste of time and resources. But you live and learn. Well, sometimes you learn. Still as much as I can be bothered, whilst still trying to leave enough gap because I know I'm going to have to slot this into the back of the house. Once those lights were in place, I was then able to start filling in some gaps. And then it was ready for the first coat of paint. And there's the cardboard I was really excited about. Now in my first haunted house I built all the furniture out of the packing cardboard that it came with, because it's nice and chunky and it's really easy to cut. I mean, look how satisfying it is watching that blade just whooshed straight through. I'm a special type of lazy where I like to cut corners and then give myself more work down the line later on, but it's fine, we all have a process. That just happens to be my process. Sometimes precision can give that uncanny valley thing that you're looking for. This, I wanted it to look more like an artistic rendering of, not, an actual German door. When in doubt, just get the old biro out. So again, you'll see me just kind of eyeballing it and not measuring anything. I like figuring things out as I go. So my thinking here with a door was that because it's going to go against this stark black, super black background, I wanted to keep the contrast really high and keep as much white on the door as possible and as much black on the backdrop as possible. And keeping in mind that it was shot in black and white back in the day. I lost count of how many glue sticks I used for this project. Not nearly as many as the first house project, but still quite a lot. This is me now just slapping the white paint on there. And then once that dried, just using your bog standard pencil, just to give a little bit of definition and texture. And there we are. We have a door. So little did I know at this point, I really didn't have to prep the backboard as much as I did, because this paint covers everything. It is gorgeous. It's Culture Hustle's Black 3.0, the blackest black. If you were to ask how much more black could it be, the answer would be none. None more black. It's like a black mirror. What I do wish I'd done, however, is lay down just a standard black acrylic, so I didn't have to layer this up so much. But that's simply because I am cheap and used a lot of this paint. So worth it though, worth it. So a few days into the project, it occurred to me that I could use a sort of a mirroring technique down the side of the doors. So not only was it a black hole, a void when you open the doors, it was an expansive black hole. That's a phrase I never thought I would say. These mirror panels were an Amazon purchase, really cheap. Just a shiny sticker, really. Take this opportunity to be the stunning model that I always knew I was. I kept this bit in because it's infinitely satisfying, and you're welcome. The best part about buying new tech is taking off the little plastic sheet. Oh, that's nice. Who's that sexy mama? Oh, it's me, Beach. So we have assembled the house. I have managed to actually get the back on, which I was really surprised at. I thought I would have had a bit of trouble with some of the bits with the clay, but no, we're actually fine. Everything fits in nicely. The mirror's looking great. Awkward to paint underneath. Wish I'd done that separately. But this paint also, it has a tendency to scrape off quite easily. So that was my reasoning. Here I was having a lovely little break with Levi, holding hands, and then... Oh, for fuck's sake. So after that fart interlude, we are now moving on to the doors. I wish I could paint this fast. I could have done this in a day. The doors were pissing me off here. I had one door that wouldn't close, and I had another door that just would not stay open. And I hit myself in the face with it countless times. I even got black paint in my hair here. I had thought about removing some of these windows altogether to make it look more authentic to the ride, but since we have these nice little sashes, keep them in, they'll just look like it's been blasted, which, you know, that's the idea. So the idea is the elevator was struck by lightning and sent the people who had been in the elevator, along with the elevator, into the Twilight Zone, into this other dimension. And so when you go through the ride, you're escorted through the hotel, the Hollywood Tower Hotel, to the service elevator, where, of course, surprise, surprise, you all get hit by lightning and also get thrown into the Twilight Zone. Spooky ghosts and spooky music occur, and some lightning flashes, and you get dropped a bajillion feet, and then you crash at the bottom, and everyone's bleeding and stuff, and it's great fun. So to make it look dirty and run down, here I am mixing up baby poop green. Way to make this shot exciting, Ailey. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just weathering it, starting to layer up some more colours. Quite often I don't really know what I'm doing, I just I think, right, okay, let's just think about logically, what would we have here? Probably have some moss and some lichen and maybe some rust. So this is me now painting in the damage of where the lightning would have hit. I used masking tape here to flesh out before I glued them on. I wanted to see where I needed to put and how best it was going to look. The first time I went to Florida was in 1997, and that would have made me 9. My dad had to talk me into going onto the Tower of Terror because I quite big Jessie, and I would I'd bottle it and not go on right. I like the idea of it. I guess I'm kind of like that with horror movies versus horror games now. Love horror movies, as you can probably tell, but I get this overwhelming anxiety when I play horror games. I still will occasionally, like I love games like Until Dawn. Really loved Until Dawn. I played that through a couple of times, but myself and my partner have been trying to go back to Resident Evil 7, which isn't really all that scary in the grand scheme of horror games, but there's just like there's an anxiety there. Okay, funny story. I was really unwell. I had a stomach thing, and I didn't have a TV yet or anything, but he'd let me borrow one that he had, or in fact I think it was actually, technically I think it was his brother's, so thanks Stephen. Let me borrow it while mine was being delivered, and brought his PlayStation down so that I could have some entertainment, which was very kind of him. And we started to play Resident Evil 7 at that point, and twice I had to run out of the room because of my stomach thing. So I literally nearly shat myself. Welcome to the channel. We've been trying to play it because Resident Evil 8 is coming out, and we've played the demo of that, but I think the problem is I get overly excited and anxious for a horror game, and then I start playing it and I'm really anxious, waiting for something to jump out and get me, and then I'm just kind of a bit shit at it, because really Resident Evil, it's essentially it's a puzzle game. You need to figure out where you need to go, what you need to collect to move on to the next bit, right? For those who haven't played it, I'm sure there's nobody here that hasn't played it if you're on my channel, and I'm just not very good at those kind of games. I'm a kind of a platformer kind of a gal, and I'm just bad with that sort of stuff. But I like watching other people play. It just reminds me of growing up with my big brother. Chris would play like Tomb Raider and Resident Evil. We would play fighting games together, but I would just watch him play those kind of games. I did like locking Lara Croft in the freezer, though. That was always funny. With her creepy little butler following her around the mansion. I recently started playing a game called Visage, which you may have heard of, and it came to me through a colleague who has recommended games before. In fact, he was the one that recommended Until Dawn. So I thought, hey, like, that sounds great, I'll give it a go. Oh boy. I nearly had a repeat of the Resident Evil 7 playthrough. The black paint that I used from Culture Hustle is gorgeous. Not sponsored, wish it was. If you've seen the adverts and you've wondered is it all that great, it's that great. It is. Get some. I'm really interested in the engineering of theme park rides. We got Disney Plus last year, the beginning of the lockdown, when it had just released, and great. Again, not sponsored. It'd be great if you could sponsor me, Disney. So many fail-safes as well. Like, I guess that's always in the back of your mind when you're on some kind of huge piece of machinery that's plummeting towards the earth. How safe is this? But given that it's Disney, I would imagine pretty safe.
Although there have been plenty of accidents in the past. But nobody dies in Disney World, did you know that? Or Disneyland. You're not pronounced dead until you're outside the premises, even if you're decapitated. Facts. I don't mind being one of those 30-somethings that's still kind of obsessed with Disney. I like the dark side of Disney though. I like the villains. I've always been like that, even as a kid. I do love the princesses and stuff as well, but I guess I've always been a bit of an outsider. A mad little goth. A little Wednesday Addams at heart. And I know people like to claim that, don't they? I was never as stylish as Wednesday, nor as cool, but I was certainly as weird. I had an obsession with death, any dead things, totally obsessed. It's not so much that I was, well no, I was morbid, but it was more of a trying to understand, I think. I'm the kind of kid that would take apart watches to see how they would work and obviously not know how to put them back together again. So the perception there was that I was destructive, and I was just really curious. Shame I didn't get the skill to put things back together again, but hey, you can't have everything. For those of you watching that are wondering what my accent is, mixed family upbringing, posh bit of Glasgow. Had to change my accent a lot to be understood over the years and not get the shit beaten out of me. Well, my mum grew up in India and her mum had a very, very strong accent. And my dad and his family grew up between Bridgton in Glasgow and Saskatchewan in Canada, so maybe that's got something to do with it. I've been obsessed with doing voices since I was a kid, maybe because I was so aware of my bonkers accent. What if I started an OnlyFans and it's just me listing ingredients, like Claire from, well, what used to be Bon Appetit. For some reason this bit will not stay. So there's a magnet up here, which I'd originally forgotten to put in, which is keeping this bit nice and secure. Here, which you can't see, but there is a magnet. So that shuts really, really nicely, and this just doesn't, sort of misses it. So I might have to think of something to attach in here, just to help it close a little bit. I'd love to go back to Disney. Like, I have no qualms in admitting I'm just a huge child. My partner's got a little boy who's been, maybe he went last year. He got to go and see the, no, not last year. Last year didn't exist, 2019. 2020 didn't exist. So he got to go, and it was his first proper holiday as well, and it was a surprise, so he didn't know he was going till, I think, the day before or something, which was just awesome. How cool is that? He got to go on the Millennium Falcon, which is my partner's dream. Hopefully we'll get to go at some point. And when the wee man is a wee bit older, he can go on some of the bigger rides too. Because he did get to go on the Terra, and at the time, just when he came back, he told me it was the scariest thing he'd ever done, and there's no way he'd ever go on it ever, ever, ever again. But a couple of years later, asked him today if he'd go on it again, and he said yes. So, progress. I think my fear of haunted houses and stuff came from being really young and being in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and we had the walk through the haunted hotel, just a walk through ride with like scary things and cabinets and loud noises and stuff, and it was family, friends and my big brother, and we all insisted we wanted to go in, and I was terrified. I don't remember how old I would have been, maybe about 6 or 7. I can't remember what freaked me out. I think maybe my brother, sorry, he's getting the blame for this, but I think maybe he was trying to intentionally leave me behind to scare me. It was like neon skeletons and noises that went woo. Freaked me out. First horror movie, proper horror movie that I was ever allowed to watch was The Frighteners. Still one of my favourites. If you haven't seen The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox, it's excellent. It's such a good story. I remember saying, we had a neighbour that was a police officer, and I remember telling him that my mum was going to let me watch The Frighteners, and I got really, really frightened because he said that he would have to arrest me and my mum because it was a 15. I think I was maybe 11. And I believed him because I'm an idiot. I've got really strong memories of watching horror movies with my mum. One of the first ones she let me watch proper, I suppose I'd call it a proper horror, was Poltergeist, which wasn't long after I watched Frighteners. She knew where all the scary bits were coming in, so my mum, being my mum, hi mum, she would go and make herself a cup of tea in the kitchen whenever there was a scary bit coming up. Particularly, the bit that sticks out in my mind is the infamous bedroom clown moment. She disappears, assures me, no, I just have to go to the bathroom, I'll be back in a minute. Nothing scary is about to happen. Mr. Demon Clown pops out. She laughed. I could hear her laughing. She got me a few times. She made me cry once in the car because there was a full moon. We were stopped at the lights, and she reached over and she went, "Look, my goodness, look, there's a full moon." Made me look out the window, and then when I turned back around, her face was here and she was growling. I burst into tears. Wonder where I get it from. When in doubt, use cardboard and paint. I have plenty of it. I've been keeping a lot of cardboard for another project that I want to do. Basically, I want it, so I want the prop, so I need to make the prop. So I'm now really tired. Good night for now. I think it's bath time. I'm pretty stinky. It's been a long day. Also, it's Easter. I'm going to eat chocolate in the bath. Bye for now. Oh god, it's like a prolapse.
Pretty happy with the way this is looking on the outside now. Just going to finish up some last final touches to this. I was undecided until the very last day about if I was going to include a service elevator or not. I am so glad that I did it, because I think it just brought everything together, gave the place more dimension, and gave it just a little bit more of a personality. This was my final result for the Hollywood sign. I had actually tried some metallic paints and stuff, but I didn't like the effect very much, so I just went with weathering it. Before it just looked a little bit clean, a bit cartoony. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm actually using a nail polish top coat. It's a Barry M wet set top coat, and mixing it with Culture Hustle's lip powder, which is a fantastic glow-in-the-dark powder. and you can mix it with pretty much any medium. And I discovered it worked particularly well with nail polish during one of my many nail experimentations. So this is what I decided to do for my neon signs, because I had a few different concepts for it, but I didn't like the trials. This just worked infinitely better. It's also so concentrated that it actually has a faint glow during the day even. So I would absolutely recommend this. I have it both in the original green glow and I have it in a kind of blue glow. The blue isn't as intense, but it does offer a kind of an eerie, ethereal kind of finish. But this original green, oof, yeah, it packs a punch. So back to the old cardboard, and I'm painting on some rusted metal doors here. Get a nice sort of metallic effect. And also making my elevator dial, I don't know, what do you call it? An elevator display? Never had to think what that's called before. And then once I've carefully messed that up several times, over and over and over and over again, I got it to a place I really liked. And I thought it looked kind of legit. Then I carefully placed and glued it all together. I used wood glue to attach onto the house itself. And we're nearly there, folks. Thank you for sticking with me. Learned some stuff in this video. I hope I've at least inspired you to pick up a paintbrush or a pencil or a pen. Explore your creativity a little bit, even though many of us are now easing out of lockdown. Hopefully this is it's reignited your interest in all things creative, and I know it certainly has for me. Alright, until next time, enjoy my little outro and take care. There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of a man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.